Hi everyone, this is Killshot from 99 Gaming. This is The Walking Dead Season 9. Rick must live, absolutely. We're going to talk about some brand new information that's out there, a theory that hopefully we can all rally around. We're going to talk about spoilers, spoiler retractions, all of the stuff out there, scripts, fake scripts, anything that you guys can think of. First of all, I want to say that I missed you guys the last couple days. Do have to make an announcement. We will stream tonight. We will stream tomorrow. We will stream random things on Tuesday. And then we're going to take a little break. No streams Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we'll be back Sunday. I hate to break the news to everybody, but yes, I am going to be taking a little mini vacation. But the Army will still be going strong, so you guys can jump on over to the Facebook fan page and kind of chat with each other, and we will be back next Sunday. So you got a couple more streams, and then we're going to get this thing going. I see the Army is strong. Look at this. Look at this group, and we are fired up and ready to go. I saw a super chat already, so we got Pete D, and Pete D is saying, "Hello all, Rick will without a doubt live. There's no reason to be worried, except, wait, I'm usually wrong." Pete, you will not be wrong this time, my friend. You are going to be absolutely correct because we're going to come up with a theory that I think is going to satisfy everything, every single thing that's out there. So yes, we've been doing a little bit of brainstorming, but I'm going to gradually get into that. Do want to say what's up to the patrons, and we've got two brand new people, Jim Kelly and also Pete M., brand new Patreon, and then, of course, the sponsors, the moderators, everybody else. Let's get back into this thing. So I am starting to think, one more announcement. We did a video on Friday, and this video is going to run all the way up until the season starts, maybe throughout the season. But I asked for 20,000 likes, and I know that's a very aggressive number. The video's only been up for a day or so. It's already got 623 likes. It is vote yes or no to Andrew Lincoln. So if you guys are watching this, get on over and check out a couple of the other videos. Let's get that thing over 1,000 likes, get some momentum going, and who knows? Maybe it gets shared, gets talked about, even goes viral. Who knows? And we'll see how many likes we get between now and the start of the season. I'm just kind of charting it to see. But the next milestone is going to be 1,000, and we'll definitely get up to that. And if you haven't, you don't have to admit to it, but just get on over there and make sure you hit the like button at some point. Kind of like all of you right now, you can go ahead and hit the like button here too. That'd be great. All right. I've seen a ton of comments, a ton of theories that are out there, but sometimes when a spoiler comes out, we get wrapped into the spoiler. And even if the spoiler's retracted, we still hang on to a piece of that spoiler. At this point, I'm going to ask you, I'm just going to ask to clear your mind. Let's forget about the herd at this point, because we've heard Rick was devoured by a herd because the herd is filming. Let's focus on something a little bit different and see if this makes a little bit more sense, because we're thinking whispers and that the whispers are already out there. But you know something that we've seen more than whispers is this helicopter. And the helicopter was intentionally put in this promo video. You've got Maggie with the long hair. Here's the other thing, is we keep thinking that this feud is going to escalate to a point where Maggie hates Rick, Rick hates Daryl, and all this stuff's going down. I've seen people say, Daryl's going to kill Rick. Hold on. Let's not forget that these are years and years of relationships. They can argue, they can feud, they can disagree. But the big disagreement at this point is really about what to do with Negan and Maggie's revenge on Negan. But you still have this helicopter, and you've got Georgie that's out there, and maybe an Easter egg or two with the Whispers, but we can't just assume that the Whispers are going to be out there and that's going to be the main storyline. Let's think of something a little bit different. We see the Capitol building, so we know there's going to be some rummaging going on in D.C. We see the helicopter. What if this helicopter is more along the lines of Rick's fate than the Whispers? So, Drama King, I'm going to unconfuse you. Hopefully. So, because the spoiler pages have predicted that Rick would be surrounded by walkers, Rick would be eaten by walkers, Rick would escape the walkers, so now they don't know if it's going to be a herd, not a herd. So we've heard a lot of stuff, right? But let's focus in on the helicopter. We know that Heath is missing. Is it not... Jimmy's jamming says that helicopter is taking Rick on vacation and then is going to bring him back. You know what? Yes, it's very possible that that helicopter could be involved. And I know where you're going with that, like literally and figuratively. But that helicopter could take Rick and also be the storyline at the same point. So let's say it's the Commonwealth, or let's say that they're even going away from the comic and there is a group out there and they're not going to even call them the Commonwealth. There's a group out there with a helicopter. But Rick is not the only person to see it. I'm going to get to Super Chat. Who else has seen the helicopter? You guys type it in chat right now. This is audience participation. If you guys are a part of the group, if you guys are hanging out with, if you're part of the 999 Army, if you've never been in one of our strings, you have to know that this is about group participation. This is about your comments. So who else has seen the helicopter? And I want to give a special shout out to Valar. Valar says, hello 999 Army. Kills, Steph, Emmy, Kells, Sweet Tommy sponsors, Patreons, and all Super Chatters, and Valar is one of those Super Chatters. All right, hold on. I'm not... Yeah, there you go. Somebody finally got it. Breadhead got it. Negan, Julie King got it. Negan and Jadis. Or, if you want to be technical about it, Negan and Ann. Exactly. Hold on. So, that to me says that Rick has seen it. It could be very important to Rick, but there's also other people that know about this helicopter. That adds a little bit of value to Mr. Everybody Wants Him Dead, Negan. Now, we've asked this question many, many times. What could make Negan valuable? What could make Negan a resource? What could make it so the group doesn't kill Negan? How about Negan has some information? Or Negan and Ann know a little bit more about this. So instead of just killing Negan, maybe he has a way to get that information out of Jadis. And if Rick were to be captured, and this is where I want you to think about the relationships. Maybe Maggie doesn't want Rick dead. Maybe Daryl doesn't want Rick dead. Maybe Rick is out there and gets taken. And all of these people need to band together to find Rick. Not just Cindy D, yes, to help fight the new enemies, but more before that is to find the new enemies and to find out what happened with Rick. And I would love to see this story play out. To me, it would be such a mystery. I know people don't like cliffhangers, but there is a time and a place for a cliffhanger. And if somebody wants to take a break from the show, this would be a good time. Now, we still have not gotten confirmation from Andrew Lincoln that he wants to take time away from the show, even though it's been reported and people are talking about it. But the more I think about this, Chris Reinig, and how this could be a fake script, and how the Whisperers might not even be introduced right now, because we've seen the helicopter, and we know that Jadis has information about the helicopter. And maybe she talks, maybe she doesn't, but Negan has seen it as well. So, if Negan could use that as a bargaining chip, or if Negan feels compelled to help find Rick, or if Negan were able to negotiate something and say, hey, Rick could have killed me, and Rick spared me, let me return the favor, and let me lay my life on the line to go find him. Now, it might not be the smoothest transition, but think about the value in this. So, Jacob, it could be a deviation or a piece of the Commonwealth, but I don't know if they're going to go truly in that direction, because we know that they do want to separate from the comic a little bit, and I know comic fans are going to be screaming, it's the Commonwealth, it's the Commonwealth. But it may be like the Commonwealth, but they could change it up a little bit. And we got a ton of good comments in this video right now. So one thing that I also want to say is, if you guys are participating in the stream, I will call on a few comments, but your comments are a part of this video. So a lot of people that are following along, listening to me narrate, also see all of your comments and all of your chat. So Matthew Levinson says, maybe when Negan kills Alpha, he finds Rick. Matthew, but once again, we don't know that Rick's going to be taken by the Whispers. We're only making that assumption. The other thing is this helicopter. We have not seen the group go into D.C. But the one thing about Alexandria, if you go northeast of Alexandria, you're in Washington, D.C. So because the group has avoided that, they've driven down to Oceanside, so they know southeast. So let's say the group's out there and they're doing their thing, whether it's a scavenging mission, and Rick gets taken and someone were to see the helicopter go in that direction. That could set up a little bit of your little Washington, D.C. excursions. I just think that there is a reason that the helicopter's on the poster. I think it's a big, big reason. And I also think that when we get to Comic-Con, there's going to be a lot more special effects, a lot more city life. Tegan, it probably is a disaster, but I do think Jadis knows something, clearly, and I think Jadis' knowledge and Negan's negotiating will allow them to go into that area, and I'm just going to be willing to bet that area is D.C. So, Breadhead says she won't talk. Nope. But hold on a minute. Let's go back to last season's prediction. I think there is a connection between Anne and Negan. When they had their scene last year and Negan was leaving, there was some mild flirtation. And after that show, many of you remember it, I said, this is going to be a partnership or a relationship. And I was blasted. And I know many of you remember the stream, you remember the chat. I think it's more and more likely that Negan is the only one that has that connection with Jadis. But he's not going to give the information away for free. Right, Mitch? Something was happening. But if Rick were to be taken, let's think about this for a second. All right, here's a couple of the bullet points that if many people in this stream and many people watching the playback don't want Negan to live. I happen to be one of those people. But hold on. I have to take my my kill shot perspective and my Glenn and Abraham perspective and put it to the side for a minute. And I got to think story and how can they bring Negan back into the story. Carl softened the blow a little bit. Rick not killing Negan softened the blow a little bit. And we've heard Negan's going to have to save Judith. Negan's going to have to save Rick. We've heard all these different things. So problem number one with the show is how to make Negan acceptable. Okay? That's priority number one. Number two, how to get rid of Rick. If it's true that Andrew wants a break, how do they get him to leave the show and not lose their fan base? Number three, how do they have the disagreements between the major characters and then bring them back together? So, solidarity. Ooh, I like that. So, those are going to be our big three. So, when you look at that and you tie in the poster, and I'm so anxious right now to get to San Diego Comic-Con. So anxious. 1 second, because I'm going to super chat this up. We got Wayne Green in the house. What's up, Wayne? So he says, do you think the showrunners have planned for Fear and The Walking Dead to cross back over? And maybe all of these events have been pre-planned before the Morgan crossover. Wayne, we have discussed bits and pieces of this in various streams. Yes, I think it's a possibility. I think that Morgan being able to get to Texas and Morgan being able to relay all the information about the group could certainly open the door for a merge of the shows. Not just a crossover, but if Fear the Walking Dead were to keep average or below average ratings, I think there's some characters on there that you could definitely take to the main franchise. And I also think that once you hit 5 years, shows go into syndication. So there's some advantage to getting another season under the belt with Fear the Walking Dead. But I also think Fear the Walking Dead is going to be a little less intense and a little bit more, not really slapstick, but I think it's going to be, there's going to be some entertainment value to it. You know, why so serious? I think that there's going to be some good stories. And I do think that there's a lot of half-open doors right now. Maggie's story is a half-open door that could go either way. Rick's story, Fear the Walking Dead could be merged. So yes, I do think that those are all possibilities. And thanks for that super chat. Sergeant Chosen One says, Rick's brother's in the chopper, leaves with him, comes back in the finale. Let's talk about that for 1 second, and then we're going to get back to my 3 bullet points. So, how many people, and I guess in the comic, I've not read that far, or the references in the comic, I think Rick's brother was overseas in like France or Italy or something, and then got stabbed and died over there in the comic. So, I'm going off of memory, I'm going off of a little bit of research. Correct me if I'm wrong. I need hardcore comic fans to say, Kills, you're close, you got it, you're on the money. I think it was a woman who stabbed him. Riri says, a boat propeller. Okay. Yes, Rick has a brother. But he was overseas. Okay. Anyway, you get it. It does not mean that, look, if we've learned anything, we can't rely on the comics. So I'm not even going to use that as a reference and say, Rick's brother is dead, it can't happen. Rick's brother very well may be alive. You know what? Rick may have a sister in the TV show. Anything is possible. And they are intentionally trying to steer away from it. So let's not just use that as this is the way it's going to happen. And we have to be better prepared because they want to change the story. They want to fool the spoiler sites. They want to keep everybody guessing. And you know what? We're going to keep guessing. Why not? And here's the other thing. If you like guessing, if you like predictions, I've said this in previous videos, I'm going to say it again. I wish there were no spoilers. And I know some people are like, whoa, hold on, Kills. You talk spoilers. Absolutely. When spoilers become common knowledge, we talk about them because they're already out there. But if you ask me, would I rather have spoilers or not spoilers? I'd say I would rather we get together and predict it and talk about it. We have so much more lively conversations when we're doing what we're doing right now. And I think the writers know this, and the writers will intentionally try to deviate from the comic, and they will also try to fool the spoiler sites as much as they can. They're going to be doing multiple shoots. They're going to be doing multiple endings, multiple deaths, all of those things. But let me say this again. If there are spoilers out there, we will absolutely have streams where we talk about spoilers. All right? So, moving on. Really good super chats. Really good question. Very lively interaction. So, thank you. The 3 bullet points I want to get back to. How do we make Negan likable? So or acceptable. Maybe not likable. Scratch that. All right. This question is going out to 2 different groups. So hold on before you answer. For those of you that have already given Negan another chance, and you know who you are, if Rick was taken away, and you needed Negan to help find Rick, are you okay with that storyline? That's number 1. All right. Now, this is a tougher sell because those of you are in the same category as me. Those of you that wanted Negan dead, those of you that just can't give it up, I'm going to ask you this question, and I'm going to answer first. If Rick is captured and Negan is the key to save Rick, I'm totally cool with him being on the show. There it is. I've said it. If Negan is the person that can save Rick Grimes, I'm giving him another chance. If he's changed, if he's redeemed. So those of you out there that have been very, very tough, just think about this for a second. Don't just give me a snap answer. Villar says, as long as Rick is saved. Alicia James says, yes, only because Rick is more important than my pride. Fluff says, you need evil to fight evil. Jessica Woodmus agrees. Cindy says, if that's the only way Rick can be saved. Okay. Now we have an opportunity. Now the writers have an opportunity. How many streams have we said the writers screwed up because they made Negan too evil? They made him too dark. He killed. He celebrated killing. The writers made a mistake with that. But now they have an opportunity if they do it this way. Jadis knows about the helicopter. Jadis isn't talking. Negan can extract that information, I think. And Negan could be the resource to save Rick. So that, if it plays out that way, now we've got some of those haters of Negan accepting he can be on the show. And that is a win for the show. Because then we gradually start to move on. All right? The next bullet point. How do we remove Rick. Now, the snap answer to this is going to be, hold on, because we got a super chat. And let me take this moment before I get to super chat, because I have gotten several comments. So we mentioned earlier, Pete D is a patron, and some other people asked. So we have patrons support the channel. We have sponsors that support the channel. Sponsors through YouTube, patrons through an external website. We have people on the 999 Army, and we also have some gear. So there's a lot of different ways that you guys can do this. And we have super chatters. And when you super chat, it is a monetary donation. And whatever you super chat, we will talk about it. It highlights your comment, and that's exactly the way it is done. So, 1189 Paris, thank you so much. And the comment is, we need good flashback episodes of Negan so we can understand him better. Paris, I don't know that I agree with that, but I'm going to ask the group. For me, I don't care if he was a archbishop in a previous life, or if he was psychologically tortured. What he did to Glenn made me hate him. Even if I understand him, I still hate him. I hate what he did. I'm going to throw this out to the group. Would a Negan flashback help you? For some people, it would. And I just want to kind of throw that out there because I'm curious. For me, I can tell you it would not. I rarely say I don't agree with the writing. I wish a savior would have shot Glenn. That's the way I would have written it. And what I think is I think if you did go back to flashbacks at this point, it might actually do the opposite. It might remind people of what Negan was like and how he cheated on his wife and she had cancer and all of those things that went down. I think that was the storyline. But at this point, I think the only redemption is for him to save somebody we love as much as the show, and that would be Rick. But something to think about. I did want to throw it out there. So, here's the way I would have done it. And there's a Western. So, if you've ever seen the movie Tombstone, and if you have, give me a quick 999 in chat. If you haven't, I want you to watch a couple scenes. If you get a chance. You don't have to. And I'm going to get back to a super chat in 1 second because I want to finish this thought. I think it's going to be a lot of 999s. All right, yeah. I'm your Huckleberry. So, remember Johnny Tyler. So, there was evil. But remember the wedding? And when Wild Bill said to Johnny and said, it's something along the lines of like, even I'm going to be afraid when you take over. Something along those lines. A couple came out and then he gunned them all down. If I were writing that and I knew at some point I would need to cast Negan in a more favorable light, I think the Abraham death would have been acceptable to people. And if they would have executed Glenn and not had Negan celebrate how he was beating him, I think we would have been able to adapt to Negan quicker. That's just my feeling, and that's the way I would have written it. So, if you haven't seen that, kind of check that out, and that'll kind of give you the mindset. I think there could have been other people, maybe not Dwight, but it would have had to be somebody else. Maybe Simon. Simon, I think, would have been a better person to shoot Glenn. Right? let Simon do it. And then that would have given Negan, hey, Simon would have been as hated as Negan, and then when Negan killed Simon, that would have been like an extra benefit. Just throwing that out there. So now we still have the challenge of getting Negan to a point where he's likable. So let me get back to the super chat, because we got Wayne Green with another super chat. Didn't forget about you, Wayne. I had to finish that thought, though. Wayne Green says, hey, do you think maybe Maggie and Rick's head are found on spikes, and that's how the Whisperers are introduced? Maybe then the Saviors have no choice but to help fight. Your thoughts? Wayne, this is a tough one for me. Rick, no. I do not think Rick will end up with his head on a spike. Maggie, I'm not sure. But I'm not sure that the Whisperers are going to be introduced before they decide whether or not they're going to extend Lauren for the second half of the season. So at this point, if Lauren does not extend her contract and they write her off the show, I could certainly see that happen to her. But Rick, Wayne, I think, no way. Because I really think Rick is surviving this. And Pete D says, and Tara. So, at this point, Pete, I think it needs to be Maggie, Tara, and we'll come up with a third. But I love Pete's comment. But Tara, I think Tara is the cure for the zombie apocalypse. Tara will be the last person standing. Just because. All right. So back to the Rick being captured by whoever is in the helicopter. That makes Negan acceptable. It gets Rick off the show. I know people are saying it's a cliffhanger, but it's not really a cliffhanger. It's another part of the story. It extends the story. This only works if Andrew Lincoln truly wants a break. All right, so that accomplishes bullet point A and B. Now, the third bullet point that I brought up was solidarity. The group disagrees. And they disagree with how to ration resources and what to do with people and punishment. Rick being captured and realizing that people have resources, helicopters. So if Negan is able to get Jadis to unveil some information, and we find out that this is a very serious operation, that they're legit, that they have one of our own, I think that creates the solidarity and gets the group all back to fighting the same way. That gets Maggie not worried about Negan anymore and worried about where's Rick and who could be coming for us next. That gets Ezekiel and Carol back on board, so they're not playing middle ground. Now, as they start trekking into D.C. and looking, maybe we get a Whisper ambush. Maybe we're fighting two enemies at this point. And maybe that is going to be the hype for Season 9. Like, hey, you thought it was just some people in a helicopter? Don't look now. There's other people lurking in the wilderness that are going to capture you too. Or kill you. Or whatever. So, Heather says, and I'm going to use this question as an example, and I already know the answer to it. Heather says, if Rick is captured and he comes back, wouldn't that piss fans off? So I'm going to ask all the fans watching this video. If Rick took a break and you know you were getting your Rick Grimes back, are any of you going to be pissed off with that? Because I'm not. You're going to get a whole lot of no's. And in fact, the fans would absolutely love it. I think that's the answer to the question. At this point, our channel, our group, our army, our people that are here every single week, we just want Rick. We want Rick to be a part of the show. And if the man needs a break, if he needs a couple years, give him a couple years. Paris, it might be. You're absolutely right. It's a typical television ploy. But when your franchise wants to step away for a little bit, what other option do you have? I mean, the option is to kill him, and I really don't think that's what's going to go down. Now, there are also, I have not confirmed this, but there's also stories that have been out there that Rick's wife had been in Atlanta quite a bit. I don't know. Like I said, I think they're in the UK, and I think their kids are going to school there. So I don't know if that's a true story or false story. And we don't know at this point what Andrew Lincoln's plans are. We don't know if he wants to leave, if he doesn't want to come back. So that is going to be the ultimate telltale. And Chaos says Andrew Lincoln is the one and only Rick Grimes. I don't agree. I'm sorry. I don't disagree with that. I agree with you. And I know people are not down with the recast. The only way I would ever be down for a recast is if, they took him away, tortured him for a couple years, and then a different version of Rick came back. I wouldn't be happy with it, but I've told you guys before, I would take the character of Rick Grimes over no character of Rick Grimes, even if it was a different version of it later on. That would be my last expectation. I just don't want him to die. I think his character needs to be there on the final day. Wayne says, if he leaves, maybe he went to look for Morgan. Wayne, that is a possibility. Now, let me answer that and kind of not answer that at the same time. Clearly, he's not going to find Morgan. Morgan is all the way in Texas. One does not get from Washington to Texas easily. In fact, when the group went from Atlanta to D.C., it seemed like a long, long time. I know there were some stops along the way. But going to Texas in a zombie apocalypse is a big deal. So there's no way Rick will find Morgan. But it doesn't mean, you're right, that he doesn't go looking for him. So I could see that as a potential reason for him to go out there and be captured. May even think he's still hanging around somewhere, close to the junkyard. That's where we last saw the helicopter. Maybe Rick's like, hey, I'm going to go see if I can snoop around in that general vicinity, and then bam. Got to find Morgan. Very possible. Thank you, Derek Walker. Derek Walker says, thanks for live streaming. Great stuff. Thanks to all of you for being here while we live stream, because you guys make it great. What a great segue. 250, 300 people in the chat before this is said and done. I'm going to ask all of you, just do me a big favor. Show some support for the 999 Army. Everybody hit that like button. Get up to 150 likes so we can move on to the next theory. Just slide the mouse over a little bit to the left. Hit the one that says thumbs up. And show those 6 people that gave it a thumbs down that we don't need them. We don't need them here. We can take the 6 haters and put them to the side, and let's show some support. All right, let me get to a couple more comments. Dashing, no, there's no dumpster. Jimmy's jamming. Killing Rick off would be bad writing unless Andrew really wants out and have him disappear. It's open for a comeback. Jimmy, it's hard for me to fathom the show without Rick in some capacity. And I agree. I'm going to be a fan of the show always. If Rick leaves, I'm going to watch the show. But at this point, I don't want to see it. And I have a emotional preparedness. Okay? First and foremost, I want Rick to stay. And I want him to be here for the whole season. That's number one. Number two, if I can't have that, I want him to leave, take a break, give him a nice story, and then in a couple years, year and a half, whatever, sign him up and bring him back, maybe season 11, maybe season 12, but bring him back at least for the end so he can be part of the solution. Okay, that's number two. Number three, and many of you don't like this. If Andrew never wants to come back and we can't get the negotiating, I want him to leave. I want him to be tortured, whatever. And then I want him to be recast. And I say, I can hear you. I can hear you all at home watching this and your reaction. But that's why it's number three. It's not one or two. Bring in somebody different at the end, and then I still get the character of Rick Grimes back. And in number four, he dies. And that's a point of no return. I don't get him back at that point. So those are my four. And you're free to, have your own list. Maybe we'll talk about it in one of the streams tomorrow night. But everybody's kind of got their list of priorities. Dashing One says, kills it possible that Daryl and Henry take Rick and Carl's story? We did a video and talked about just that. Yes, it is possible. But that could happen simultaneous to Rick leaving. It doesn't mean that there needs to be a Carl story, because if they don't want to follow the comics as a script, you could have Henry doing things that appear to be Carl-esque and Daryl doing things that appear to be Rick-like. And I think because we expect that in the comics, I do think Henry will take on a bigger role. We'll see. But I don't think I don't think Rick and Judith are going to do it. But I do think that, hey, there's only so many things that can happen on the show, and you will see some of that happen. So, awesome stuff. I am going to wind the stream down because when we get these topics, the longer we stream, we get a few thugs in here. And that's why I said, if you guys support the 999 Army, you're a big part of this. Jump in, hit the like button. But there are spoiler people. There are other people out there that have an agenda with this channel and only show up. Don't even participate in what we do and make an assumption and just come in and hit the dislike button. So we're going to wind this thing down, and then hopefully the people that watch the playback will get some value out of that. I want to thank everybody for being here. The true fans of 99 Gaming, the 99 Army, you guys are phenomenal. All the people that sponsor this channel, the Patreons, the sponsors, the Super Chatters, absolutely tremendous. So thank you for everything that you guys do. We will be doing a stream tomorrow night, so we will have Monday night at 9 o'clock, just like we always do. And then Tuesday night, we will do random things. We got some countdowns that we have to get to. And then we're going to take just a few days off to take a break and refresh and regroup. So there'll be no streams next week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. But we will ramp it back up next Sunday. Thank you for everything that you do. Once again, there we go. Now we can see some of the people hitting that like button. Appreciate it. I will talk to you all tomorrow night at 9 o'clock. Thanks. Peace.